Welcome, everybody. My name is Maria Jackson, and I'm here with Donna. I am so excited about today. We're going to have a conversation, and hopefully, you guys join us live and we are able to go over your questions in detail. So, let us know if you guys have any questions. Just know that there is a 10-second delay. So, if you have any questions, just give us a few so that we can answer those questions for you. But we have Donna here. I'm excited because she specializes in hand therapy and she's done other stuff that she will tell you. So I'm really excited to have you, Donna. Thank you so much for joining us and taking time out of your schedule to be able to do this for us. I'm really excited because, as you know, I've had carpal tunnel surgery, and I really want other dental professionals to know and be aware of what they can do in order to prevent these musculoskeletal disorders. So please tell me a little bit about yourself, your experience, and what you've worked on in the past.
All right. I'm an occupational therapist and a certified hand therapist. I became certified in 2000. Been an occupational therapist since 1987. I could retire, but I love what I do so much that I'm not retiring. I have been fortunate from the very beginning from when I graduated to work with a hand therapist. And then I had a mentor, and then I loved it so much I kept doing it. And yeah, here I am almost 40 years later. So,
What drew you specifically to hand therapy?
um, I just think, well, I had two opportunities. When I was in high school, I volunteered at a hospital, and the therapist there that I had contact with was a hand therapist. And then the second opportunity was on my internships. Um, After college, I chose to do a rotation with hand therapy. And it's just very rewarding to give somebody back function.
Yeah.
And, you don't realize how important even your non-dominant hand is until you don't have use of it.
100.
So it's just a very rewarding skill to have to help people.
What professions do you typically see at your salon?
I see the gamut. Now I have seen hygienists and EFTAs, um, and that's not the majority of what I see, but anybody that does repetitive motion, tiny manipulations and gripping and pinching, um, I see a lot of that. Um, the Most of the time, I see people after surgery for scar management. I
Oh,
don't get the opportunity very often to see people prior to having surgery. I wish it was different, but because there are preventative things that people can do to alleviate their discomfort or their symptoms. Um, but I don't get that opportunity too often. So this
so
is kind of nice to
my
be
experience is
able
different because my experience was I ended up, I had a physical right next to where I used to work. And thankfully, they took my insurance. So I just walked in, like, I'm having pain. And I think it's carpal tunnel. And I'm freaking out because I'm only 6 months pregnant. And they had one hand specialist dedicated for just those patients. And I mean, we became besties because I was going multiple times a week. I was going on my lunch break, just trying to survive dental hygiene in general because honestly, I had 3 months off for after I gave birth, and I didn't want to use any of those days or weeks
prior to.
trying to like not work. So to be honest, like I was trying to just survive. So my experience is different. I actually ended up seeing the hand therapist prior all the way up. a little bit until after I gave birth, and then most of it went away. But I ended up having surgery 6 months after, and then I saw a therapist for a little bit. And then, I mean, if you looked at my hands, you would never even know that I had surgery,
Surgery.
which
Yeah.
is amazing. And I haven't had an issue with my wrists yet. Hopefully, I never do again. But where does dentistry fall in that mix of patients or clients that you see? Would you say if you had to give it a number?
I mean, maybe 10 to 20%, maybe.
No,
Uh,
and you see a lot of patients.
not a huge percentage.
Yeah.
I mean, I work in an orthopedic practice, so I see a lot of post-op trauma patients, fractures, tendon injuries, and things like that too. So,
Yeah.
um, but when I do see the hygienists or EFTAs, usually a workman's comp situation. So,
Mhm.
I end up seeing them 3 times a week. Um, and like I said, sometimes it's before surgery, but I say the majority is after.
And from what you see, what is normally the most common hand injuries
That
that
I see
yeah.
for hygienists or
I guess, yeah, let's go over
uh,
hygienics first.
okay.
'Cause you get
I would say basal joint arthritis, which is this joint down here.
uh-huh.
People, from pinching over the years, and carpal tunnel, sometimes trigger finger, but basal joint and carpal tunnel are probably the highest.
And what would you say are warning signs that people tend to brush off?
Probably waking up in the morning with their fingers tingling. A lot of people, their fingers start to tingle and they'll just shake it,
Mhm.
to and not think twice about it, and it just kind of becomes a habit. Um, and when they start dropping things is usually when they address it.
Yeah. Towards the very end, I was dropping instruments. I was, like, on my last week, and I couldn't even hold a pen. I
uh,
mean, I was going home in tears because I thought, "Is this the end of my career? Is this what this is going to look like after I give birth, or is it going to all go away and this is just temporary?" So it was really scary. What would you say, they can avoid? Is there a way to avoid any of these hand injuries? Are there any type of early interventions that people can
well,
do?
doing tendon and nerve glides, which I'm sure your therapist taught you, doing
It
the
was
the
a little bit
stretches.
ago. So please tell us.
Okay. So, this would be a median nerve glide where you're stretching, and you can't see my hand, but my hand's like this out to the side.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of tilt your head and tuck it down. And that's it. You go to away from the side you're stretching, and you only go to the point of a stretch, not to the point where you're reproducing your symptoms. Tendon glides, doing a hook fist, flat fist, intrinsic plus fist, and so doing those type of nerve or tendon glides. So this is a nerve glide, and then these are tendon glides, and you can Google them, look them up. A lot of people will stretch their hand like this.
Yes.
That's kind of temporary. It's more of a stretch rather than a nerve glide. That makes sense.
Yeah. So I've been talking to Dr. Tammy Del Sol, as you know. I've
Right.
been working with her and I love her. She's so sweet. So she, I've learned from her that it's not just the pinch grip on instrument handles that's the problem. It's using the pinch grip while retracting, like
Right.
the dental mirror as you pinch, grip and retract. Like dental assistants,
Right.
dentists, because I had surgery in both hands. I couldn't I think my left was equally as bad as my right. I just couldn't, I had no grip. Everything was hurting, everything was tingling. At night, I would wake up in the middle of the night because I wouldn't feel my hands. There were pins and needles and it would just go. And then I had burning sensation.
Mhm.
That's the part that would kind of freak me out because I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, my nerves are dying. I don't know what's happening here.
Well,
But
and that's the thing, if people let it go and don't do anything about it, they can cause permanent damage.
mm, does that combination, like the things pulling back a tongue, scaling off tartar, like for dental hygienists or for dentists, gripping a high speed drill while doing a crown prep per se, does that combination, the pinch plus the
Well,
pull,
because it's a tiny movement and it's repetitive. So that's and then if you're using a drill, that's vibration too, so that can cause inflammation. So it's repetitive motion in any direction. But having looked at Tammy's um, her star,
are, yeah.
yeah,
What do you think about
I think that is genius. She really has something, and it can be used not just in the dental hygiene world, but I could see applications in other um, industries or other areas where people have to use small tools.
Yeah, I use it on my
You don't have one that you do. Okay,
yes,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
have so many. Oh yeah, I now that I know what I know, I try to take care of my hands. And now, I mean, yes, I don't see dental patients. I'm not in dentistry anymore. But I do work with the computer a lot. So I am sure you've seen your fair share of
Oh, yeah.
patients from that. What do you normally see from that?
Well, mostly the carpal tunnel, um,
Because
nerve compression because people, yeah, they type down like this instead of in a neutral wrist. Um, so that's something I do see a lot of. Using a wrist rest for that type of industry is wise, or an elevated keyboard um, to keep your wrists at neutral.
I have an elevated keyboard, but I do have one of those pretty acrylics that props the computer, but I feel like I have to dangle because if
Oh,
I put my wrist over, it hurts because it's plastic. So I need to
right.
figure something
Yeah, you
better.
need a little foam keyboard wrist rest.
Yes. I have the foam thing, but
Oh,
that like I kind of like put my elbows on it and I dangle. But then I also do have an extra keyboard that I connect to via Bluetooth. And so my computer is going to be elevated, but then I have an extra keyboard that I use too. So I'm trying, but I feel like there should be more awareness on these things
but
because if
ergonomic. Yeah,
you are in that type of industry that puts a lot of forces and positioning ergonomics for those places are what would be ideal. You wouldn't know what you don't know until you kind of go through it or you hear about things like that. that's
right.
that's another reason why I'm so excited to talk to you and find out more about like what you've seen in the industry. So if a dental professional is watching this right now and thinking this sounds like me, what's the one thing that you would tell them today?
I
Like,
would
let's say we have, like, early signs
earl
or,
Yeah,
what
definitely early intervention. So even if you're not having signs, every hour doing nerve glides, and doing the tendon glides um, to try to keep things moving in a instead of being always in that small space to open things up and keep things gliding and moving the way they should. Because you're hovering over a patient's face and you're in a static position, and you need to stretch. You need to change the mobility of the nerve.
So with the hard scar, the only thing is, it's like anything else, right? So for example, for hygiene, we usually get loops, dental loops, so that we can sit up straight and we're not completely like hunched over. We also have like saddle chairs so that it positions our lower backs properly so that you don't have lower back pain. So we have all of these things in the industry, but I personally haven't seen anything like the Herd Star. Have you,
No,
working in the industry? I
no,
mean, even like the pen grippies, right?
yeah, but they're more of a cylindrical or a triangle.
True.
And this has the 5 points, so you can easier it has easier manipulation. And like you said, you can retract more easily instead of, pulling.
Yeah. And I know everything in the industry. I remember when I first got my dental loops, it was there was definitely a period of time that you have to give yourself to be able to
A learning curve,
comfortable. There's a
muscle
learning
memory.
muscle memory. Even recently, well, before I left the industry completely, I think a year before I left, I ended up buying the ergo loops, which, my previous loops has magnification, but the ergo loops, it goes down so that as you look forward, it actually creates like the angles are proper so
Mhm.
that when you're sitting up, all you're doing is looking forward and you're actually looking down. So I had to retrain myself. It took me a while. I know some people don't, it like their learning curve is not as, for me, it took me a while to adapt. I feel like you're just so comfortable. And I wanted to gravitate towards my old loops because it's so easy. I would just put it on, and
Right,
if I'm in a rush, like I feel like I wanted to just put my old loops. But once I really gave it a chance, I realized, oh my gosh, this is amazing. Like, because otherwise, my other loops, I have to bend down regardless. My
right,
back is straight, but my neck is still bent.
right.
Whereas with my new loops, I'm completely straight
Yeah.
and at a distance, because they have to measure at a distance to where it's healthy, like it's already measured, it's for you. I feel the same way with these little stars. When I first started using them, I went back to clinic to actually test these out. The first time I used it, it was definitely a learning curve. I thought, oh, I don't know if I would like that because it's weird. It's also thicker than what our instrument, kind of like using it in a pen. It's thicker than
Mhm.
what you are normally used to.
Right,
When I went back, I used it again and again. I would say after a week's worth of trying them, now I can't go without using them because it is more comfortable. There's less pressure and
right.
it's easier to pull. And then you're using less wrist movements. In hygiene, we are taught to use our wrists. So we fulcrum with our ring finger, and you're taught to rotate your wrist and keep everything as straight as possible, and you're grabbing and you're rotating and pulling. What would you say could be a problem from doing that long term?
Well, the
Right.
any repetitive motion like that, you can develop a tendonitis or, inflammation, that can lead to, either carpal tunnel, deep veins, basal joint arthritis, there's a whole gamut.
I'm going to look online to see if there's anybody that has any questions. Um, we do have a little bit of a delay, but either way, even if you're not joining us live, you're still able to look back at the video and see. No, I don't think we have anything right now. Okay, great. So what would you say as the final recommendations other than stretching? Um, I know that you were talking about the tingling. Obviously, that's when it's kind of. I don't want to say too
Well, that's a
late,
warn
but you're like
it's a
department.
warning sign. When you start dropping things, that's when you need to really be concerned. But, the tingling, you can reverse that, um, by, wearing the splints at night, doing tendon and nerve glides, um, you know, low level laser therapy or red light therapy is, a new thing that's coming around, that
Need to
people are
know.
trying. Um, so be aware initially, at the initial symptoms. Don't wait until you're dropping things, and don't ignore it or brush it off. And if you're a hygienist, I would say definitely give the her star a try. And like Maria said, it may take you a week till you get that muscle memory and learn how to use it. But it's definitely something that I would recommend trying, and they can be autoclaved. So that's,
Yes.
really an important factor to consider when you're thinking about tools. And I know that Tammy has other um, pieces of equipment on the horizon that is going to make the lives of hygienists and dentists easier. And for those that don't know, Tammy is a dentist, and now she's focusing on developing these different tools for her for the practice of hygienists and dentists.
She had carpal tunnel. No, she had carpal tunnel and trigger finger. I think she was telling me.
Okay,
She had surgery in her dominant hand. I had surgery in both. But she's very passionate about creating that awareness and creating these products so that, she can spread the word not only in dentistry but in healthcare
right.
completely. Um, Thank you so much for joining us. Ecstatic to be able to, put this in all my social medias and help other dental professionals prevent, these type of problems, because as you know, I struggled for some time, and I felt like I was too late. I felt like I didn't know better. But our hands is our career, right? Like if
Right,
we
your
can do
livelihood.
it, yeah, I mean, I had to that's the reason why I now work with AI software, because there was a good period of time where I thought, what if I can't do this? And what am I going to do? My whole career I've been doing hygiene for now over 15 years. I've been in dentistry for over 20 years, and my dad is a retired oral surgeon, and he's only towards the end of his career did he suffer from trigger finger, and that was it. But you were talking earlier that it's being predisposed. Some people are
Well,
predisposed for
some people
those.
have an inflammatory bodies, so to speak. So, if you eat a lot of inflammatory foods,
Makes sense.
that can affect it, you know. Um, and it not only working, but then going home and working on the weekend and pulling weeds and, using your hands hard, um, and ignoring it.
Yeah.
Ignoring it is the key. You don't want to ignore it.
So we'll wait until surgery is the only option for sure. So I lived through that, and I want to spread the word and make sure everybody knows and is aware of those signs and symptoms so that you know what to do. So thank you so much, Donna. I really appreciate our conversation and your expertise and you taking the time to be able to talk to us. And thank you everyone for joining. And if you're seeing the recording, if you want to reach out to Donna, where can they reach you if someone wants to ask you a question?
I currently work for Select Physical Therapy, and my email address is donna.harvat, Harv as in Victor, AT, at selectphysicaltherapy.com.
I can definitely share that email if you want, and you can reach out to Donna, and she can help with any questions. And if there's anything we can answer, we would love to help in any way that we can. For now, thank you so much. Goodbye.
Bye.